Peter, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. You're very welcome.
Okay, Peter, my question to you is this strike that we're going to see next week, I guess it was inevitable, really.
It was inevitable because we've seen insane demands from the unions, and they haven't negotiated in good faith. They haven't put forward any kind of realistic proposals, and we think the mining companies have negotiated in good faith, and they've put together very realistic offers. So it was inevitable, Peter. We're going to have a bit of a strike here. All
right, let me ask you this. They originally planned to cut 14,000 jobs. They've managed to get it down to 3,300 plus. And I'm wondering if they needed to chop 14,000 jobs and they've managed to trim it to this 3,300. How have they managed to plug the gap? Because surely the financial pressures remain.
Look, a lot of things have changed from January. That number was arrived at from the year before. They'd worked on this for a whole year, and the platinum prices were lower. The rand was much stronger. So the rand platinum price is a lot higher right now. So they're definitely making more revenue per ounce of ore, per ounce of metal. Also, they've looked at this a lot harder, and I think the union has made some adjustments. I think government has tried to help a little bit. So after these three large parties negotiate for 9 months, I think they were able to find some ways of working down the numbers that weren't obvious to any of the parties 9 months ago.
All right,
and also probably some other retrenchments have just been delayed to see how things go.
All right, so Amplats is the world's largest producer, and if it's under pressure, could we see other mining houses go the same route, and perhaps they were waiting to see the outcome of what Amplats will do?
Without a doubt, I think you're 100% right. It's the biggest, the largest, and was probably in the most trouble. And yeah, everybody always watches what your neighbor does, especially when you're in a similar situation. So we're going to learn a lot, and there can be a lot of good lessons coming from this if everybody would work together instead of work against one another, if we can cooperate and collaborate instead of compete.
All right, so the gold mining sector probably grounding to a halt next week. Is it going to be a question of who blinks first? That the employers are going to say, go on strike, and the workers, will they be able to hold out?
Look, it's not quite that simple. The mining companies can't offer more. We've seen massive firings, or should we say retrenchments, of senior mining execs for the last 9 months because they spent money they couldn't afford to spend, because they made decisions that were bad for the company. So these current mining execs, they're under pressure to make good decisions that are good and help the company grow, sustain, or at least keep going. So they can't blink. They've been blinking for the last 8 or 9 years, giving out increases that they shouldn't have given out, that didn't have any bearing to inflation, didn't have any bearing to productivity. Now, the miners have been offered 6.5%, which is higher than inflation, and that's actually more than a mining company can afford to offer. So it's not a matter of them blinking, it's a matter of them just waking up and doing what makes sense.
So what's likely to happen next then, Peter?
I think there's got to be a cooling off period. And I think the two unions, NUM and AMCU, are both trying to show each other who's toughest. So I think there will be a strike. I can't see it going more than 2 weeks because it's so illogical. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't benefit everyone. So I think they'll go on strike for 7, 8, 10 days. And by then, everybody will be sober. The drugs will have worn off. And people will want to do what's right. That's my prediction, that we have maybe a 2-week strike at most, and that we settle very close to what's currently on the table.
And in the meantime, I guess the real cost will be to the economy in general.
The real cost will be for everybody. The mining companies are going to be losing billions all totaled. The workers are going to be losing billions. Government's going to be losing a few $100 million, and the economy is going to be losing billions. Everybody's going to lose. There's no winners on a strike here.
All right, so it looks like an imminent gold strike taking place there. Peter Major, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. He's